Hi, welcome to A Taste of Luxury. It's my privilege to introduce you to Charlie Palmer. Welcome, Charlie.
Nice to be with you.
Charlie is a chef owner of Aureole, and we're here at his his very new Las Vegas branch, and it's absolutely beautiful. It was designed by Adam Tahaney, and we just had a tour here. So why don't you describe what your conception was?
Adam's flair.
Adam's flair. So what did you want when you came to Las Vegas? What was your goal?
Well, I think one of the big attractions of coming to Las Vegas was the fact that we had this incredible space to work with that you really honestly don't find in New York or in a lot of the metropolitan cities. It's just like you were afforded this possibility of having a fantastic physical space to start with.
Right.
And that made it really exciting. I really wanted to create my vision of Aureole 10 years later. Aureole in New York is now 10 years old. And this would be my vision of what it would be today.
Right.
It has a lot of different elements to it. I think probably the most important thing for me was to make sure that we created something that expressed the Aureole kind of feeling that we have in New York. And I think we've accomplished that, in a very theatrical way, in some sense, with the wine tower and the whole wine program, which is really, really world class.
Yes. Why don't you describe the wine program?
The wine program starts with a inventory of about 30,000 bottles.
Okay.
We were very fortunate to have access to many private collections, and we have vintages that date back to the 1900 vintage.
Oh my
which is gonna
gosh.
be bigger than the millennium, of course.
Are you booked that evening?
We're doing actually a millennium seating where everyone, the people that come to that dinner will taste every first growth Bordeaux from the 1900 vintage.
Oh, what a great thing to do.
Yeah, 100-year anniversary. So,
Yeah.
This is pretty special and something that, quite honestly, I don't know if anyone else can do.
Yeah.
That's very exciting. But we offer 2,000 selections on the wine list, very world class. Stephen Geddes is our sommelier, a master sommelier, one of 28 in America, in the world actually, and it's really a huge and a very important part of the restaurant. And it's when you walk into the restaurant and walk down and around the wine tower, it really kind of exudes wine.
Yes.
You're surrounded by it. You're like focused on it. And
Exactly. That's why you have the wine tower. It's
Exactly.
to draw. It's to say, have a bottle of wine with dinner.
And the whole theatrics of our wine angels that retrieve the wines.
Right.
They go up in the tower is a very, I think, chic way of bringing some theatrics to the restaurant. But not in a cheesy way, but a very, very chic and cool way of expressing it. And again, and it works very, very well. The mechanics and the system itself actually work very well.
Yes.
So, and customers are very excited, like seeing it. A little bit of theater, in a very classy way.
Exactly. Now I know that this is quite different from your New York restaurant, which is very small and intimate, but it has a very small, intimate feel here, even though it's much larger seating capacity.
Yes, yeah, it's about twice the size as the restaurant in New York. But I think we're getting to the point where we're really accomplishing the same kind of feeling, and that's really about the people. I think the personnel that my idea is getting people to be comfortable in the space when they sit down and they feel good. They're going to appreciate the food, the wine, the service much more than if they're not comfortable and they're a little edgy or not happy where they are. And that's, I think, the biggest success of New York is the fact that it really feels good, the restaurant.
Exactly. The air feels just very energetic, and the plants are beautiful. The flower arrangements are just wonderful. Now, I'd like to talk to you about how you started in food, because I know that everyone's very envious of you. You're a chef owner of one of the hottest restaurants in the entire world. And how did you start?
Well, my start in food was kind of my hope was to become a professional football player.
You have the build.
And, but when I realized that wasn't a reality, when I was a kid in high school, when I was 14, I started cooking in restaurants as a job.
Okay.
Quite frankly, because I was tired of milking cows. I grew up on a farm, and but it was something to me. All my older brothers were in different occupations, engineers, lumber business, that kind of thing. For me, it was like, there's nothing that I could imagine that I really loved to do and had kind of an immediate satisfaction. When you cook for someone and you present it to them, you get an immediate reaction.
Right.
Unfortunately for me, that immediate reaction has been overwhelmingly great. there's always some person, someone that doesn't like your style or doesn't like your cooking. But in general, I think people like what I like. So, I've been very fortunate in that sense.
Now, getting the financing for your first restaurant, what was that a matter of?
Well, I was a chef at the River Cafe in New York, and quite successful, and had become known in a way as chefs become known these days, and that was 14 years ago. And I was fortunate to have actually 3 or 4 different business partners wanting to do a venture with me. At that time, I was 27 years old.
Yeah.
So they were obviously taking a lot of risk and putting a kid in business, that kind of thing. But I also had a very, very focused vision of what I wanted. I wanted a brownstone in New York City. I wanted to have that, feeling of walking into a home. I wanted that kind of controlled situation. And, I was fortunate, to pick the area, of Manhattan. I wanted to do it and everything. I wanted to compete with all the great restaurants.
How did you lure the East Side crowd?
I think a lot of it, I can say the clientele that we've built in New York is what I call solid, personal clientele that is built by, someone coming to the restaurant, liking what you do, and telling their best friends. Of course, when you get a review, you get great press or things like that. It brings people, but those kind of people, a lot of times they may come once or twice. But then they're looking for the next, restaurant.
Right.
What we have is, people that come and really like the restaurant. We've come to know, we know them, we know their families, we know their daughter, their son, like that kind of thing. And the next generation, and really they bring their best friends, and they become the same kind of person. So that's really neat to have that, and actually, that's what we're really trying to do here in Las Vegas, because there is a really concentrated area that there's a lot of people in Las Vegas that appreciate wine and food.
Yes.
And have become already in the first, let's say, 2.5 months here, good friends of the restaurant. And come here because they know the maitre d'. They know when I'm here, I say hello to them. They know Joey and Megan in the kitchen. So it's kind of like they're coming here and we know them. We know what their likes and dislikes are. And I think that's about how you build clientele, is to appreciate what they really like and dislike.
And I think that's the reason that Bon Appetit decided to have their event here, because they have the best restaurants in the world, all the offshoots in the best restaurants in the world.
Yeah, I think at this point, and when I talked to Lynn and Amy at Bon Appetit, that I think this city warrants a Bon Appetit food and wine focus.
Right.
And I really felt that, hey, there's something very exciting about what's going on in Las Vegas at this point. And you couldn't say that 5 years ago.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
But I think guys like Jean-Louis Pellerin, Emerald, Mark Miller. These are pioneers, in this town. And I feel like that's one really unique thing about being in a town like this, is you're almost a pioneer, to bring a restaurant of this level and this kind of food here to a city. Whereas in New York or Boston or Chicago, and the great restaurant cities, San Francisco or Los Angeles, you can do a great restaurant, but there are a lot of great restaurants already.
Exactly.
Whatever you do, you may do something really nice and really good, but there are a lot of people that are doing it and have done it already. In this town, when you do something like this, I think people appreciate it. It's something new and it's exciting, and the response has been tremendous.
Well, exactly. Now, because wine is such an important focal point, I wanted to ask about training. You mentioned, and I found this very hard to believe, that some people walk in and they've never had a bottle of wine before.
Amazing. It's amazing. It's a psyche, I think.
Yeah. So getting them in the habit of ordering wine. Now, how does the staff help you?
We have 3 sommeliers on the floor.
Okay.
All the time. And what I've expressed to them, and what Stephen Geddes, the master sommelier, has really brought across to these people is, it doesn't matter what the clientele really knows about wine, but these 3 sommeliers have to be able to sell a bottle of wine to someone that really has no knowledge of wine and understand what they want to drink.